it's not why. What did ancient humans do all day before jobs existed? What did they do? Let's find out.
You wake up when your body is ready. No alarm, no schedule, no place you need to be. You sit up, stretch, and
So
ask
living la
yourself
vida
one
loca,
question.
basically.
What should I do today? For 99% of human history, this wasn't a hypothetical. This was every single morning for roughly 300,000 years.
300,000?
The answer to that question looked nothing like the life you're living right now. Modern humans spend about 90,000 hours of their lives working. That's roughly 1/3 of your waking existence dedicated to a job. But for the overwhelming majority of human history, jobs didn't exist. There was no employment, no wages, no boss, no career ladder to climb. So
wait, hold on a minute. There was work. What about people who had to get better food, hunt? And I know that's not a proper job like with HR and stuff. Actually, I wonder if HR was just the other people around them that were like, you better do what you're supposed to do. But they kind of had to do what they had to do though, because houses where they're gonna have food, cook the food, you know, get resources to live. But I classify that as a job because it's something that has to be done. Okay, but you don't get paid for it. You have to wear a full belly. If you hunt right, it's like, okay, lock in. Everybody say lock in.
Let's start with what we know for certain. In 1963, archaeologist Richard Lee conducted a study that would change how we understand prehistoric life. He tracked the daily activities of the Dobeju Hwansi people in Botswana, one of the few remaining groups still living in a way that resembles pre-agricultural human life. He found that adults spent about 2.5 days per week acquiring food. That's roughly 17 hours. The rest of the time, they did whatever they...
How much food did they... hold on a minute. How much food did they need? Well, actually, no, hold on. I'm not me thinking about it like in the way that I would. Listen, to be fair, if you're hunting something, actually, but were they hunting? Okay, you know what, let me continue then. We'll see.
Here's the important part. This pattern shows up everywhere anthropologists look. The Hadza in Tanzania, the ache in Paraguay, the martu in Australia.
It's a lot of places.
Different environments, different continents. Same result. About 15 to 20 hours per week spent on survival activities. For context, you probably work twice that. Now, some of you are thinking, but those are modern people. How do we know ancient humans?
Yeah, that's okay. That's what I was trying to say.
And the answer comes from bones. When archaeologists compare skeletons of ancient humans to early agricultural populations, the difference is dramatic. Farmers were shorter. Their bones show signs of nutritional deficiency. Their teeth were riddled with cavities from grain-heavy diets.
No
dentists. They had arthritis in their spines from repetitive labor. And they died younger. Ancient human skeletons, taller, stronger, healthier teeth, less joint damage. Their bones tell a clear story. They were doing less repetitive physical labor, not
because just to quickly go back to what the other point I was going to say earlier. The reason why I was like, okay, they probably work all them, or sorry, spend all them hours on survivability is probably because imagine you have an animal imagine they have an animal to hunt and it's moving off funny. It's going to take a long time. The animal's running away. They're trying to get at it. Animal's like, no, leave me alone. And they're like, no, come here. No, it's got this cat and mouse chase. So obviously going to spend ages on trying to survive. That's what I want to get off my chest.
But the most fascinating evidence comes from something archaeologists found that shouldn't exist if survival was a constant struggle: art. In 1994, explorers discovered Chauvet Cave in southern France. Inside were paintings created roughly 30,000 years ago. Horses, lions, rhinoceroses, rendered with perspective, shading, and movement.
These were drawn in there.
Stick figures. This was sophisticated art that required skill, planning, and most importantly, time. Someone spent hours, maybe days.
I recently saw a video of Leonardo da Vinci. It was described in the video that Leonardo da Vinci was like went to a cave or something. So was that like a common thing with painters back then? Just going to caves and stuff, or were they just like wandering based off of like curiosity and stuff?
Deep inside a cave by firelight, painting animals on a wall. Not for survival, not for food, for beauty, for meaning, for something to do. In Blombos Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found 100,000-year-old perforated shell beads. Tiny holes drilled through seashells, clearly meant to be strung together as jewelry. The nearest coastline was 20 kilometers away. Someone walked 40 kilometers round trip just to collect shells, then spent hours carefully drilling holes with stone tools, just to look good. In 2008, researchers found a...
How did they know they weren't coming back from a journey or going on a journey and was like at the sea and they were like, let me grab these and make some to bring back to my... For example, say if it was a man, their wife and kids, a woman, just to look good, you know? Why are we assuming that they walked that much for... Well, actually, to be fair, them times might have been nothing to do. What else did they do? Might as well walk. I wonder how they found their way back though. Probably markings and signs, and not like literal signs, but like maybe that tree looks like this, so I know I have to go back this way. And I'm just gonna pause this video.
1,000-year-old flute carved from a vulture bone in Germany. 5 finger holes, perfectly spaced. Whoever made this understood music. They understood pitch, and they spent
like that.
significant time crafting it. Not for hunting, not for defense, for music. These aren't isolated finds. Across Europe, Africa, and Asia, archaeological sites from 100,000 years ago onward are filled with evidence of decorative objects. Carefully crafted tools far more elaborate than necessary for survival, and items that required hours of focused work with no immediate practical benefit. This is what people did when they weren't securing food. They created. They decorated. They made
this stuff.
So let's reconstruct a day. You wake up around dawn. The fire from last night is still smoldering. Someone adds wood. You eat leftover meat or fish from yesterday. Maybe some nuts or berries collected the day before. Breakfast is social. People talk. They plan loosely for the day. Not because they have to, because that's what humans do. Around mid-morning, a small group might leave to hunt or gather. But here's the key. You don't go every day. If the hunt was successful 2 days ago and food is stored, you might not leave camp at all. You might spend the morning working on tools, sharpening a spear, weaving a basket, scraping an animal hide to make it soft and usable. This isn't work in the modern sense. There's no clock, no supervisor. You do it because competence.
So it's not it's classified as not modern, but it's still work. That's what I was trying to say earlier in the video, that it is still a job, it's just not monetize the way we would monetize it.
Things well is part of being human. If hunting happens, it's not the frantic chase you see in movies. Humans are persistence hunters. We track animals at a steady jog for hours until they overheat and collapse. We're the only species that can do this effectively because we can sweat and regulate our body temperature while running. Most animals
can't. Just going straight for it.
So we outlast them. The hunt might take 3 to 6 hours, including travel. Then the animal is carried back and butchered. Everyone eats. And by early afternoon, the productive part of the day is essentially over. What happens next is what modern people find hardest to understand.
I wonder if any ancient humans were vegetarians or vegans. Wait, vegans is wait. When did cheese start getting produced? Hold on. Not a whole bunch of questions, but we need to lock into this video.
Nothing and everything. People rest. They sit in the shade and talk. They play with children. They groom each other, picking through hair, reinforcing bonds. They make jewelry from shells or beads or animal teeth. They carve designs into bones or stones. They nap. Anthropologist James Sussman documented that among the Zhuangzi, adults spend roughly 6 hours per day in what he called social time. Not working, not sleeping, just being with other people,
just
talking, laughing, telling jokes. Because in a world without money or police or written contracts, your survival depends entirely on your relationships. If people don't like you, they don't have to share food when you're hungry. So you invest enormous amounts of time in those bonds. Not because it's productive, because it's how humans
or a simpler way of life.
Then the sun sets, and this is when something remarkable happens. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner analyzed hundreds of hours of conversation recordings from the Zhuangzi. During the day, conversations were practical. Who saw animal tracks where? Which plants were ready for harvest? Complaints about someone not sharing fairly. But at night, around the fire, 81% of conversations shifted to stories. Myths about how the world began, tales of ancestors who did impossible things, jokes that made everyone laugh.
Are they able to decipher what they're saying? Like, is there translations? Like, I wonder how they go about that.
From far away. Wiesner argued that this is
in the last video they were saying how it was difficult with certain
spirits, the past, the future, things you can only think about when your stomach is full and you're safe. And people didn't go to sleep and stay asleep the way you do now. Historical records from medieval Europe and sleep studies from the 1990s confirmed that before artificial light, humans slept in 2 phases. First sleep for about 4 hours.
Oh, we did learn this.
A wakeful period of 1 to 2 hours in complete darkness. Then second sleep for another 4 hours. So here's what a full day looked like. About 4 to 6 hours securing food or
so they were
tools.
the OG nappers.
About 6 hours in social interaction, storytelling, grooming,
napping away.
Playing. About 8 hours sleeping in 2 separate phases, and the rest resting, sitting, watching clouds, doing nothing in particular, existing without needing to justify your existence through productivity. Then, about 10,000 years ago, something changed. Humans in the Fertile Crescent began planting seeds and domesticating animals. Agriculture. And agriculture is a trap.
Possessed them to do that though?
Farming, you can feed more people. More people means you need more
And why
food.
didn't that innovation come about sooner?
Farming. Within a few generations, populations exploded and there was no going back. Because now there were too many mouths to survive by hunting and gathering. You were locked in. And farming required far more labor: plowing, planting, weeding, harvesting, storing, defending crops from animals and raiders. The skeletal evidence is
Get away. So they're probably
early
saying.
farmers worked
Oh, and however they say that.
ate worse, and died younger than the hunter-gatherers who came before them. But the population kept growing, and with larger populations came specialists: toolmakers, potters, weavers, inventors, then soldiers,
All
priests,
sorts of people.
administrators, and eventually jobs, employment.
Then we
idea that
came
your
to
time
be
belonged
where we're at today.
to someone else in exchange for resources. By the time we built cities, the original human lifestyle was gone, replaced by schedules, obligations, the need to work most of your waking hours just to survive in the system we created. Today, you spend 90,000 hours working. Your ancestors spent way less. You sleep in one block and call waking up at 2 a.m. insomnia. They slept in 2 phases and used the middle hours for reflection. You spend your life chasing an illusion of greatness, achievements, wealth, and success by standards society invented. They woke
I think we
up
need to be
every
more
morning
grateful for our lives.
already enough and at peace with nothing to prove to anyone. They didn't need to become successful.
Yeah,
They
nothing
were already living the life
matters.
and working your entire existence to retire into. You make art if you can find time after your
Other
job.
than
They
survivability.
made art because they had time, and that's what humans do. We're not a different species, but we live so differently from how humans lived for 99% of our existence that we might as well be. We traded freedom for food security, leisure for population growth, time for productivity, and most of us have no idea what we gave up
Wow.
because we never knew it was there. You wake up when your body is ready.
Hold on. Why did it go back to the beginning? Wait. Hold on. W video, guys. That was a really good video. Yeah, what have we learned? We learned that we need to be more grateful, more still and present in the moment, and that life is what we make of it, basically. Now, we do have a lot of different sets of challenges and stuff, but when it comes down to it, we need to appreciate life more for what it is, rather than what we want it to be. Tell me that wasn't poetic. No, I'll wait. Tell me that wasn't poetic. Guys, I'm only messing. Look, we're jumping in. Actually, that's going on YouTube. So for my YouTube people, subscribe.